Hey, what's up, Blazer fans? Welcome to We Have a Take the What podcast. I am a very, very happy Tara Bowen Biggs, and I am also joined by a very happy Rose Harding. Hi, Rose.
Hello, Tara. I'm so excited to be recording today.
I, I mean, where do we start?
For context, Tara and I were not going to record this weekend. We were going to wait until next week. But when the news came this week, I texted Tara. I was like, I think we have to. If you have time, I think we have to record something this week because we're never going to have another opportunity to have a good vibes podcast quite like the opportunity is now.
The vibes are so high right now. Obviously, we're talking about Damian Lillard coming back to Portland. Like I don't think anyone in Portland is surprised. I don't think I would be shocked to find out somebody was surprised, really. But I think the fact that it happened so soon and the way it happened, like I just keep going over and over in my head. I cannot remember the last time we had good news that was just straight up good news. Enjoy it. Have a great weekend.
I mean, I totally agree with you. And I will say that when this news happened, I was in a meeting at work. And like when I picked up my phone after coming out of it, I don't know, it had dropped like an hour before that. It was like the first thing that I saw in my text messages was from like our group chat. And the last message that was there was, is Rose okay? Because I hadn't popped into like talk about the Dame news, and I was like, "Wait, what am I okay? What are you guys okay? I have 100 notifications." And what I'm hearing is that everybody was super okay. Everybody
Yes.
was so okay, and everybody was so celebratory. And I couldn't believe that in 2025, when all the news has been so bad, this has just been really, really good.
Yeah. So I want to add a little bit to that story because I was also in a meeting when the news broke and I had turned on or turned off my notifications. So I didn't even know like my phone was going off or anything. And so when I opened it up, I had to like kind of follow back the thread a little bit to see what had happened. And then I was like, alone in my house. I had like just turned off this big meeting, this big monthly meeting that I facilitate, and I just was like, now what do I do? And so I just got up and ran around my house screaming. Because I was like, I can't believe it's happening. And then we just, of course, kept going and going and going. And then when you finally popped in, like right, not long after the top of the hour, because we were like, we figured you were in a meeting. Um, but when you popped in at the top of the hour, uh, you were like, and we were like, Dame is back, and you were like, that better not be a joke.
Well, you just never know. I don't
Yeah.
know. You just never know. And also, you never know if it's a rumor or if it's real, right? Because sometimes people get really excited about a rumor. I'll say, especially if it comes from Chris Haynes. But if it's not, I don't want to get too excited
Mhm.
until it's real, real with a
Yeah.
capital R.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't know. And then just like going over to the Blue Sky timeline and it just being like sheer happiness. I mean, and I was following like the Blazer Twitter list that I think
Mm.
Brandon Mullen put together originally when we all ran over to Blue Sky. So like I didn't go to like my follows everybody feed. So I missed like all like the
Mm.
national folks' opinion or whatever. So it was just a stream of just pure like I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's happening. And funny enough, just the day before, so I've been going into the office more recently just because I'm loving the bike ride. And so I rode my bike past the Purple Clyde, which is a huge mural on the side of, I think it's the Helium Comedy building over in Southeast. And it's like this great mural of Clyde. It was like my Twitter header forever and ever. Anyway, and I was like, Clyde, can't you just bring Damien back? And then it happened, and I was like, Purple Clyde, I'm gonna pray to you for always now.
Purple Clyde is apparently where we have to go to get things done.
Yes, yes. There's so okay. I don't even know where to begin. There's there's just so many good things that are wrapped up with Damien in Portland that I don't think everybody understands.
Hmm.
I don't think like I've heard so many takes, let's say, that like I can't believe he's taking that much money. Like what's it gonna be to Scoot? And like I get that there's a lot of questions, but like we're not gonna do that right now. We're just gonna be happy. I guess my biggest takeaway from this is that maybe this is my take. What Dame has done has showed to me that not everyone is all about championships.
Mhm.
I've been so brainwashed, from Twitter for the last 10 years to think that the championship was the only thing. In my heart, championships are not the only thing. It's about more than championships. But it's that message is so loud that I've started to believe it. And Damian coming back shows me it doesn't mean that like I don't want to win a championship. I think it's more about playing for something that you believe in. And Damian believes in Portland. He believes in Rip City. He believes in the Trailblazers. And it's about playing for something that means so much to you and playing so hard for it that someday you win a championship. Or maybe you don't. But I just think it's more to me, it's about playing for something. And like we used to talk about that with this team. Remember, we had all these guys who weren't playing for anything. And
Mhm.
now it's all kind of like falling into place and it's taking shape. And part of the identity of this team is now going to be that they're playing for something because Damian came back. I don't know. I probably didn't explain that very well, but that's my take.
No, I'll say I feel very similar to you in that I think it's really easy to get brainwashed into thinking that championships are the only way to win. And I do think that sports are about winning, but I don't think that winning championship is the only way to win. And sometimes you win because you're being true to who you are and you are where you want to be with the people you want to be with and representing the city and the place and the people that you want to represent on your terms. Sometimes that comes with a championship. For Dirk, that came with a championship, but I don't think that that's the only way to win. And I think that Dame realized along his journey that there are lots of ways to win, and there are also lots of ways to not win. Even when you chase winning, there are lots of ways to not win along the way. And so you might as well look for other ways to win on your way to trying to win this other thing like a championship. But I don't know. I Most teams don't win.
Hmm.
29 out of 30 teams don't win every year. And if you are going to be one of those 29 like a member of one of those 29 teams that doesn't win, don't you want to find other ways to win in your career and in your life?
Hmm. Well, yes, and I feel like the last few years since Damian left, especially because this team has still been like forming and they haven't had an like we had Damian Lillard and there was one very strong identity. And then Damian was gone and now they've been trying to like establish who they are and have an identity. And like at the end of the last year, they kind of started to have an identity as not just as like a team who played defense and seemed like it would be a bummer to have to play every night. It would be hard to play every night, but a team who like cared about each other and was gelling really well and wanted to be successful together. And I don't think Damian adding himself back to the team undermines that identity at all. So I just am realizing, that all those years I can hear Dan in my ear talking about if you're not building for something, then you're not doing anything. And I do believe that the Blazers were always building towards something, but sometimes it was hard for us to see what it is. But now I really feel it. Like they've built something. And um one of the things I'm excited, I don't know. I don't even know where to go. There's just so many great things to say.
This is one of those times where I feel really fortunate for us to be more fan aligned, I think, than media aligned. This podcast is very much about like what the experience of a fan is like. And I'll say, like, when I looked at what the media's reaction was, I was like, ugh, like, I don't like you. Yes, I know the negativity will come, but like, you're gonna spill ink on that in the first week. Like, Miss me with that. I am not here to think about these things too critically. I'm here to feel. And my feelings are so good right now that I think we should just enjoy them before we start asking all of these hard questions because we deserve something nice this year. It's been a hard year.
It's been a hard decade. I mean, it has been, Blazer fans have experienced so much loss in this decade, starting with Paul Allen and
Yeah.
like just like people who were just really important figures to this organization, you know, we're losing them. And that's been really hard. And it's just been like one hit after another. And now we're at a place where we traded Damian Lillard for Drew Holiday. And now we have Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday.
Yeah, we have both of them and then all of like the other players that we acquired along the way that we wanted to keep.
Yeah. And it's like, I guess to me, it just reminds me of how quickly things can change. And if all of our thoughts about what we think are gonna, like, you can't get married to what you think is gonna happen because that's never gonna happen. Something else is always gonna come out and change how everything has happened. And so, like, we're where we are right now. Let's just enjoy it. And there's gonna be days where we go, I see the downside now. But like that's not gonna take away from the like there's downsides to everything. I don't think that's
Yeah.
gonna take away from all the good things that are coming out of Damien coming back and joining the team and being there for Scoot, and maybe he'll buy Hansen a suit. Like I like that was something I was really stuck on after the draft, is remembering Dame and CJ and the way they cared for rookies.
Hmm.
And the last few years, kind of wondering who was filling that role, wondering if that was even a role that was really important or whatever.
Hmm.
I don't know. These are the things that I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, Dame set the culture here for so long. We didn't know what the culture was going to be like with a bunch of new players, and I don't think that they knew what it was going to be to start either. We went through a couple iterations. We went through years where like the guys playing at the end of the year and none of them were going to be on the team next year, Like it was a lot of iterating on different teams, different looks, and we finally started to like figure out who we are. This is maybe how the way I've been trying to think about it. So we had a strong identity in our relationship with Dame for a long time. The team was really built around him. The team knew what kind of like basketball they wanted to play because we had Dame. And then we broke up. And then we both had to figure out who we were going to be without each other, right? Because he also went out and became like a different player than the one that he was with us. He had to like he had to find his new position on his new team where he wasn't the primary star that everybody was building around. It was Giannis. He figured out what he wanted. We figured out who we were going to be. And then when it was time for us to come back together, we looked at each other and we said, yes, we want to be together again. Kind of like people who maybe like break up and then go different ways for a while and find their way back to each other years later. Like you're not necessarily the same person that you were when you were with them the first time, and that's okay. I don't think anybody expects us to go back to exactly that the way we were before. We have different coaches, we have a different style, the players and the roster are constructed differently. Like, so can we just enjoy the unknown for a while and like remember that we looked back at each other and we said, yes, we want to be together. Let's try again.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah. And we know from before. And we know that, and we can just move forward with having had all the experiences that we have. They don't go away. The experiences we had together don't go away. But maybe we now are can see the way forward that to where we're more in alignment. I mean, I don't think I don't think it was a bad thing that it happened. Like we all saw, we really saw in the act, they had to tear it down to build it back up. And the fact that they've built it back up to this is like, I wonder how much of that was planned. I don't think much of it was planned, but I think it was being ready when the opportunity came. And I think DeAndre Ayton taking less money in his buyout helped this happen. And he needs, like, we should be thankful for that.
mm-hmm,
But I think that I don't know that. I mean, my conspiracy theory brain is like, I bet Dame was, or Joe was like, okay, Dame, you have to go right now, but trust me when I tell you we're gonna find a team that fits and we're gonna bring you back. I don't think that happens, although it's extremely romantic to think that it did. But what Cronin did was he put everything in place so that when the opportunity came, he was able to take action on it.
Yeah, and he also proved that he wasn't going to be immature and petty about like the way that breakup happened because it was messy and painful, and I think a lot of people were upset and hurt after it, but like he demonstrated to us something that our prior GM had not, which was that he could move on, forgive, and still do what was best for everybody involved, and I appreciate that about him.
Hmm. I'm so excited to have like all the corny things that come along with Dame too.
Oh, I know.
Like,
I
you know,
don't think that Milwaukee ever really appreciated that aspect of his personality. Like, he's a little corny, he's a little emo, and that's part of what we like about him.
yeah, like his cheesy Instagram po reposts of like inspirational sayings. Yeah. He just, oh, we're gonna have so much fun with social media next year. Just because we finally have a player who does social media again.
Yeah, that's right. Like he's like still very online, and also he's gonna have more stuff to post about because he's gonna be like with his family and stuff.
Oh yeah, what do you think his and also while he's not playing, what do you think his like rehab hobby's gonna be? Like Matisse like became like a videographer. What do you think Dame I bet you he's gonna become a chef. I
You
could
think
see him
so?
getting really into cooking while he's rehabbing.
I think he's just gonna exercise a lot and just post a lot of pictures of him exercising and boxing and whatever else.
Yeah, I don't know. Before we got on, I was extolling the virtues of adults having hobbies. So I think he should probably also pick up a hobby because he's getting up there, and you got to have something to do once you're done playing all the time. So I think he should become a chef and like make cookies for the team, or like yeah, he's probably not going to travel with the team. Would be my guess. What do you think?
I I mean, I think maybe he would maybe towards the end of the season if there was a reason, but I can't imagine him doing it earlier on.
Mhm.
I'm very interested. He might not even be that present, you know, for most of next year. Like it's really a long recovery process for an Achilles tear, and I wouldn't blame him for not being around as much, although I do like the idea of him trying to integrate himself and getting to know these guys while he can just focus on that aspect of the relationship and not the basketball aspect yet because he's not able to play. Like these guys have all bonded a little. Like I think at the end of last year we saw a lot of bonding among these guys.
Mhm.
And he has to fit in with the new clique.
Mhm.
Even though
Yeah.
he's Portland's guy, he's been here for a long time, but like he's the old guy, but he's also the new guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's also somebody who just has always poured so much into people. And I think he really gets a lot of his own energy from what he gives to others. And I don't know how much of an opportunity he had to do that uh, in Milwaukee because he was the new guy and he had to fit in around Giannis and he played with a lot of longtime vets. I think my guess, from what we've seen before, it's that he'll really like having all these young guys. I mean, imagine, I know that there's going to be a lot of things that are difficult for Scoot about this, but also he's going to have Damian Lillard to talk to him about offense and Drew Holiday to talk to him about defense. And I hope that he's able to soak it all in and not be overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, same. It's a fun problem to have, everybody. Like, I'm not saying that we're not gonna have some problems to figure out or questions that we all have, but it's a fun one to have. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think that there is a bad answer here, and I don't think that our joy should be overridden by the unknown.
Yeah. Before I'll say one last thing and then we should move on. Before Damien asked for the trade, I used to tell myself every year 29 teams don't win the championship. And so we could be one of the 29 teams that doesn't win the championship and not have Damian Lillard anymore. Or we could be one of the 29 teams that doesn't win the championship. But we've got Damian Lillard. So we're back to that.
Yeah, I mean, if I could choose between those two things, I want the losing with Damian Lillard, the not winning a championship with Damian Lillard. I want that because that means we're winning in other ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really want to see him when he's, with Denny and two. I
Yeah,
I
agree.
really want to see what that and either one of our centers.
Yeah, and I'll say now that we are here and we know that he's back, I can like look back at some of the things that happened over the last year or so and feel differently or feel more concrete about what ha was happening there. But like, he's always kept his eye on us. Like I remember when he was posting about Tumani about all defense, like
Mhm.
he's been keeping his eye on this team. Like he wasn't like he moved on and like, that team is gone to me, And when he came back, it was always a hard game for him. And it was hard because he has feelings here. He has a lot of emotions and of his personal history is here. And I was like, that's really who he is. Somebody who was never going to just like move on from us.
Yeah. He's always been so loyal and he's always, I mean, so I remember when we were researching him when we did our Damian Lillard episode. I'm not sure if you were on the podcast yet or not, but one of the stories about him that really stuck with me, and then when this happened, I was like, of course, was his high school experience. So in high school, his parents sent him his freshman year to the school where his older brother was, which was outside of Oakland. It was a small private school. He didn't really he he liked that, but the coach left, and so he wanted to find another place to play. So he went to another like fancy school where he could get playing time and people would recognize him, and he like really didn't want to, but he went and he didn't like it. And so like he went right back to Oakland, his high school where his friends were, where he wanted to play the whole time, and that's where he was happy. And like, because of it, he didn't get the recognition that he would have gotten if he had, stuck it out with maybe one of these other schools. He ends up going to Weber State, which is great for him. But like he's made decisions like this before where when people are telling him you need to do this thing and he did that thing and it didn't work out for him, he's gone back and been like, I'm gonna actually do the thing that I wanted to do. And I imagine that it's a constant stream of people telling him what he should do. And sometimes he maybe might do things that maybe are a little bit against what he wanted to do, but he feels like he needs to do them anyway, tries it, but he's not afraid to come back and be like, okay, this is actually where I really want to be.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And maybe that's part of what like made me feel like when he said in his like goodbye letter that like he truly believed that he would put a Blazer uniform on again. Like I don't think that Dame makes promises that he doesn't intend to keep. I don't think he says things because he thinks that they sound good, even if that doesn't feel like true to him. And so it always felt easier for me to like truly hold that in my heart and believe that without really trying to like think about, oh, when, oh, when, oh, when. Cause like I think that can be really hard to think about that. It's like, when would this person come back? But like I just knew in my heart that he wouldn't say that if he didn't mean it.
Hmm.
And if he meant it, like he is somebody who has proven to us as fans, time and time again that he is accountable for the things that he says. Um, but
Yeah.
and there's always a world where like he maybe tried and like maybe the front office wouldn't let him come back, but I'm so glad they did. And in this way, I want people to remember that like when you're mad at the front office later this season for whatever it is that they do, remember that they helped make this happen, and it doesn't happen unless both sides agree.
Hmm. Well, and also compare it to the former GM when we find out LaMarcus Aldridge wanted to come back and he said no.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't know that as fans. We didn't know that until LaMarcus Aldridge told us that years after his retirement.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine if we could have had him back too. Oh,
I can't even talk about it.
okay. We're not gonna let that. We're just gonna be happy about it. But let's talk about like there's like 9 million other things have happened.
It feels like we're in a basketball windfall right now.
Yes, yes.
So we haven't even recorded since the draft. Did you watch the draft?
I did not watch. I watched it a little bit. I'm in this thing where I don't like have TV. I mean, obviously I have TV, but like I have to use this app and that app and this app. And so half the time I'm meaning to watch something, I spend at least 20 minutes trying to find it.
Yeah, okay.
So I believe I did watch parts of it. Did you watch the whole thing? Or at least up to the Blazers?
Yeah, I watched the whole first night and I watched part of the second. Um,
Wow, you are dedicated.
well, here's the thing about the second is there's always somebody in the second round who is like wildly underrated. And
Yeah,
I wanted to know that, and then I wanted to know what their name was, and I wanted to know kind of what people said about them. One of the more interesting parts of the draft for me is that I don't engage in the draft chatter and I don't scout. That's not
yeah,
where my interests or skills lie. But I do like to hear about these guys so that later on, when I see them doing amazing things somewhere, I can be like, oh, I remember you from draft night. And it's nice because I did hear a little bit about you by the people who do those things and do love that aspect of the game. So I like to like listen for like more of like an anthropological reasons.
yeah. For the historical record.
Yes. But I did watch very closely when we drafted, and I'll say one, the reaction was amazing because it was like if I could have predicted what would happen if any team, not just the Blazers, any team picked a guy that nobody had on their draft board up high, like if I could have predicted, this is exactly what I would have predicted. Everybody gives you a horrible draft grade. They all say, "What's wrong with this team?" They all say like crazy things about you, and then within 72 hours, people are trying to come around because you know what they don't want to do? They don't want to be the outlet that was wrong, and they were too wrong on a sleeper for too long. They
Yeah.
like were very afraid that they were going to be missing the boat on being right about this guy that they knew nothing about, and they were confident the first night saying that guy is not worth that pick because they don't know anything about him and they assume if they don't know about him, he's not worth it. And then two, they're like, oh, what if he is? Now that we're learning more about him, I don't want to be last to the dog bowl on this story.
Yeah. I mean, so much of reporting, I think, is just trying to get your correct take on record.
That's right. And as early as possible, because you don't want to be a follower.
Yeah. 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 I think it's delightful what the Blazers did. I don't know if it's gonna work out, but I am here for the ride. He seems like an absolutely lovely young man. Watching the video of him when he was drafted and like the incredulity on his on his face and like how prepared the Blazers were for him and the fact that he's been here before. I think he just seems like he's going to be a really fun story. And I just like, we've just been gifted like all these good stories to follow this year. So if nothing else, that should carry us a while.
Yeah, and it's been really wonderful to see how the media has embraced him. I mean, partly I think because for like, quite frankly, like economic reasons, right? Because they're all
Yeah.
like, ooh, like the Chinese market and this and that. I was like, but also Hansen is like so endearing. You know, he's 20, he's primarily played in China, like, you know, he's played some international, you know, like for China in international spaces before, but he's primarily played in China. He's primarily been exposed to Chinese media. And now he gets to be like a darling. And also,
Mhm.
when is the last time the Blazers had a media darling? Dame, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I adore that he has been living up to the hype because I think that for a second there was like everybody was like, who the heck is this?
Hmm.
We don't know him. We know he's not worth it. And then everybody decided, oh, well, maybe he is. And then there was a lot of hype around seeing, well, is he really as good as his tape looks? And then he showed up at Summer League and he looks great. He looks exactly like what people thought he might look like.
Yeah. I say one thing. I love how he sets a screen. That's the thing that has stood out to me as I've watched him in Summer League is his screens. And I'm like, oh, it hasn't been since Yusuf Nurkic that you could just rely on somebody just lay a guy on the floor.
And he'll probably even get like better at learning about NBA rules and nuances and stuff for like protecting against fouls and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, everybody was making a big deal about the fact that he just stands in the paint because they don't have the 3-second rule in China.
Mhm.
Um, that
I-
stuff he'll learn.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be rough. I mean, it's going to be. I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to be. I hope it'll be worth it, but I think it's going to be. There's going to be a big learning curve, but
Hmm.
that's fine. That's the thing is that's fine. He's 20, barely 20, and he's not. He's clearly not our only center.
Right.
And he's got, if Robert Williams is still going to be on the team, he's got somebody to learn from. Plus, they just got Tiago Splitter, so now they appear to maybe have a big man coach.
I know. I'm very excited about Thiago Splitter because he's also easy on the eyes.
Yes, yes,
And he was great
agree.
when he was a great player in San Antonio.
Hmm.
Like, but not somebody that you think of where you're like, oh, like that's a star, a coach, a future Hall of Fame coach. Or what you don't think about that. But like one of the things I will say about the Spurs players is that generally there was a long period stretch of time in there where they didn't have any players that weren't high IQ players.
Hmm.
Everybody was a really smart player on those like late 90s, early 2000s Spurs teams.
Yeah, he's bringing the whole Spurs experience with him too. Like
Yeah.
that's got to come through in, the way he coaches. There's no way
Hmm.
he didn't pick up something.
I feel really good about the way that Hudson looks in terms of his like basketball IQ because I see him really wanting like I see him trying to like direct traffic. I don't
Hmm.
know like what language barriers he's experiencing, how well he's understood, but I can see him wanting to direct traffic and he knows where he wants guys to be and he knows where passing lanes will be
Yeah.
if they do what he wants them to do. Multiple times where he's turned the ball over in summer league, I've seen him try to make a pass where either the player he's trying to pass to is a little earlier or a little late and the window is closed.
Hmm.
So like, it gets stuck in people's feet or
But it
something like
made
that.
sense.
But it made sense, right? And when you get the right rhythm with your teammates there, that passing lane will be open and it will be beautiful and it will be a highlight that they show on TV.
Well, and he's coming into a team that has just had the experience of starting to figure that out. Because
Hmm.
remember the beginning of the year last season and then the end of last season where it was like, ooh, they were never ready for each other's passes. There were
Yeah,
so many times where they just threw the ball straight out of bounds.
that's
They
right.
because they just were not ready for each other at all. And it takes time and it takes that like to build that cohesiveness. And I think they really made according to the marketing anyway, they really made that an effort at, creating that connectivity between them. And so, Hansen will be joining a team who is like already has that on their mind, right? Because they're still young, they're still learning each other. And so it won't be like he's gonna get in there and everybody always knows exactly what's gonna happen. And they're gonna have to all learn it, continue to learn it together.
My question is this, when is the last time the Blazers had this many players who were capable of making like an intermediate or high level pass? Because Scoot can do it.
Yeah.
I believe Hansen can do it. Denny can do it.
Uh-huh.
Like we just have I think that because
Yeah.
we've been so point guard centric for so long, we didn't need guys like that. But now we have lots of different guys that can handle the ball and like run offense.
That's such a good observation. And they dabbled with it a little bit with Evan Turner,
Hmm.
but
They thought about it.
yeah, but they couldn't. Well, they committed to him,
They
but
didn't
they
make it
didn't.
work though.
Yeah, but they didn't commit. They committed the money, but they didn't commit exactly the work. Um, and I guess it just didn't fit. But yeah, I mean, there's just feels like there's a lot to look forward to, and I think, as we always remind ourselves that we have to be patient with these young guys. Scoot famously was 2 years away from 2 years away. Now he's just 2 years away. But Hansen is still probably 2 years away from 2 years away. And
Yeah.
that's okay. That's totally okay because we also have Donovan Clingan.
Yeah.
It's not like we don't have people who are capable people who are in these positions. And I know that there's people worried about with Dame coming back, like, what's that mean to Scoot or whatever. But like, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. And also like Dame is coming off an injury that's really hard to come back from in general. And when he comes back, he's going to be like, what, 36?
Hmm.
Like, I don't know, like you just can't expect his role to be what it used to be at
Yeah.
all. I think that his role now is like partially for them to figure out together, but also partially for him to figure out how to fit in with what it is that's already being built toward, because he's not the like foundational piece of this team. He
Hmm.
is now coming in later as a support piece to a team that they've already decided what the foundation is. Because I think that at the end of last season, if there was one confident takeaway that I had, it was that the future of this team was going to be built around Denny and two.
Yeah.
And
And which is very different from where we're used to because we're used to it being built around a point guard. So that's a whole mindset we have to get into.
yeah, totally. So like the fact that like our old star point guard comes back who used to be the guy we built around doesn't necessarily mean that that's the same thing that's going to happen here. And it doesn't make any sense that like that they would bring some guy in on the mid-level exception and that's going to be the new center of your team when he's 36 years old and he'll be healthy again. Like, I just
Yeah. And how far along in the journey Dame's mind is for this. It might take, it's like these guys, they have egos. It's good. It's, in my magical world, he's like, "Oh yes, I understand exactly that I'm going to when I come back, I will not be the center of the team and I will come off the bench." I'm not sure Dame's there yet, but he's got a year to work it out. He's got precedent in front of him of people who went through this transition, including right in front of his face, which was Mello. And, so I think if anybody can do it, it'll be Dane, but I don't know that he's ready for that yet, that reality yet, but I imagine he's working on it.
I don't know if this is conscious or not, but I think conscious or not, he has been working toward being a good mentor for a team like this his entire career. That's what he's like been building up toward. I mean, and he demonstrates that in the way that he's led this team in the past. He's demonstrated that by doing his Formula Zero camps
Oh
with young
yeah.
basketball players. Like, I don't think it's going to be that weird or awkward for him to step into that kind of mentorship role because he's always been setting himself up to be that someday.
Hmm. Yeah. And and also it goes back to him always pouring into others and how important that is to him and how I think he actually gets, motivation from that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in that. And maybe he's one of those guys who recovers from an Achilles injury and he's still able to do he's able to do the things that he needs to do when he has guys like Tu and Denny and whichever center ends up being, the center. We have options. So yeah, I'm okay. We should
So
move on.
let me ask you one other thing. Is there anything else that you liked about Summer League? Because we haven't talked about Summer League either, and you are
Oh,
famously a Summer League enthusiast.
yes. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Summer League beside outside of the Blazers.
Yeah.
I'm just like I said, I like Hansen's screams. I
Yeah.
really like Love and Sissoko, and I'm wondering if
Yeah.
one of those guys will end up getting a contract. When it might be like a Justin Minaya kind of deal where they spend a lot of the time with the team and still stay on a two-way, or maybe it'll be like Jabari where they actually earn a contract. But I really like what I've seen out of them as well.
Yeah,
But
that's it's fun. And I was so impressed with seeing Caleb Love. He looks really good. And he was in the I think he was in the draft, but he wasn't drafted. Um, But there was a lot of talented guys who didn't get drafted in this famously super deep draft. So I'm really excited to see him play with the remix. Thought it was interesting to see him build even just some chemistry with Hansen in Summer League.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, I'm hoping, I'm optimistic that we'll get to see some of his play on the Blazers this year. Um, and I'll say I also felt like streaky, I think was like the word that I would use here, but like there was a book night had a good game once. Ryan had like he was really hot and cold, but like there's a part of me that wonders what happens with him this season because this is sort of the season where it like needs to happen, right?
Mhm. Yeah, he's
So
still real young, but also like this is his third year, going into his
yeah.
third year. Yeah, so it's kind of time for so the consistency to start showing up.
Yeah. But I would love to see him make a leap into something that's consistent because when he's playing great, he's playing great.
Yeah. And also it gosh, this sounds really cold-hearted now that I think about it, but him playing well for the Blazers is good for him in terms of other teams could be interested in him as
Yeah.
well. Like,
I don't think that's cold-hearted. I think that that's like centering the player and not centering our team. And that's what we try to do here anyway. I mean, it's
have you
ideally
watched
we could
much
do
of the
both.
other summer league games?
I've watched some of it. I just like to see like other top picks that I saw and heard about during the draft. And I also kind of like to see what other guys are out there still kicking around. Um, we saw Moses and
Oh
his
yeah,
shorts the other night.
Moses
Who's he?
Brown's shorts. It's
Was
gonna be
Moses
like Davy
Brown?
Jones's locker, Moses Brown's shorts.
Moses Brown's shorts are on the Rockets this year.
Yeah.
And Skal Labissiere is on the Magic Summer League.
Oh, sweet, sweet skull. Oh,
Skal,
little
yeah.
blackberry. Oh,
I love Skull. But he's still kicking around. There's just a bunch of guys that I'm like, I wonder what will happen to them when they exhaust their time in G League or otherwise. I guess they don't necessarily they can play in G League for a long time, but
yeah.
um, at what
Well,
point
and we're seeing guys international and other. So who was it who is going to Japan? Nas Little,
Nas, yes, Nas is going to Japan.
where Jake Layman was playing. And Jake Layman seems really happy. He seems like it's been a great experience for him. So I hope Nas has the same. And let's see. Will Barton is gonna join the big three. That
That's
should be
right.
fun.
That's right. And I also saw actually that where Nas is he's going to the same team that Yuta Watanabe plays for in Japan. Yuta, who
Oh.
used to play with on the Suns. They like I think they briefly overlapped at the Sun at the Suns.
Oh. Nice.
So he also has, a buddy.
Hmm. That's nice. Well, and now a whole lot more of the world knows a little bit more about international men's basketball because there were two basketball players on Love Island.
Oh.
They came in as bombshell, or they were Casa Boys. Um,
Oh yes.
and one of them famously said, like in the middle of I think he was fighting with Huda, who said, "I could be playing basketball right now." Like, well,
Was
you're on Love Island, so you're clearly not playing in summer league.
nobody invited you to Summer League, so sorry.
Or
Did he
maybe that's what
win?
he's saying. Maybe he did
Maybe
get a summer league invite, but he turned it down because he wanted to do Love Island, and that's a personal problem.
did one of the basketball players win?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Actually, yeah, one of them. Oh wait, no, 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 not Brian. No, that was no. He and Hoda broke up, and then the other one was Pepe, and Pepe made it to the final four. Um, but Brian or Chris. Anyway, the two Casa boys, one of them did.
The Final Four, it's just like sports.
Just like it. They had a basketball game. They had like a pickup game on Love Island that they showed. And then there's a really fun clip of Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson breaking down their games. Talking about which one, like, like, oh, maybe you could have been because Pepe was like, if I hadn't, spent so much time playing the piano and doing other things, maybe I could have made it to the NBA. I think he was actually just a college player, but the other one played overseas. But yeah, so you should watch the clip of Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson
Okay.
breaking it down.
I'm excited for the new show. What I forget what it's called now, but the one with Carlos Boozer and Tyson Beckford.
Yes, King's Court. Oh my gosh,
King's Court, that's what it's called.
Carlos Boozer's delightful. I had no, at least in the one episode I've seen. There's so much basketball crossover. So much basketball crossover with reality TV. More and more all the time.
Honestly, like more and more reality TV bleeds its way into just everything. Like
Hmm.
things that I didn't know I knew about, like because of reality TV. Like that's how I feel like everything is like. I'm like, why is everybody talking about this person or this place or whatever? It's because it was on a reality show that I wasn't watching.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but
It's a thing.
it's definitely a thing.
Okay, so before we move on to our listener questions, you told me that you went to the fire event
Oh yeah.
when they unveiled um the branding and all that good stuff. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. It was extremely hot, which was very on brand since they're, as we know now, are called the Fire. Um, do you have any thoughts on the name?
I'm agnostic. I'll
Mhm.
say one of the things I don't think anybody's going to care what the name is once we have like a team and other stuff to focus on. But since
Yeah.
all we have is like a logo and a name and a brand, like that's
Yeah.
what people are talking about.
Yeah. It's fine. The merch was cute. One of the things that was cool about the event was just like how many people were there and like the number of people lined up to buy merchandise. So like it's exciting to see that people are really, really excited about it. And unfortunately they didn't have the fountain on. That was why I wanted to go. It's because the fountain, it's called Fire and Ice. And it shoots flames as well as
Yeah.
water. And it was a hot day. I was probably some kind of liability reason that they didn't have it on, but I was kind of bummed about that. But yeah, it was just great to see so many people excited to see what the team is going to be. And yeah, you're right. Like we have a brand. Now we got to get the players and we got to find out more about them and yeah, it'll be really fun.
I'll say the one thing that I am vaguely disappointed about, although I will say this disappointment is speculative, is that based on the way the logo looks, I think they're going to lean back into this fire department type thing because they have like a shield behind the fire, like it's like a fire department shield.
Oh,
Um, I don't
I
even know if
didn't
you
even
noticed that.
I didn't even put those two together.
Anyway, because and so they like leaned into that before when the mascot before that was Spot, who was a
Oh.
Dalmatian. So I'll say my daughter loves Dalmatians. It would be a huge hit in our house. But because they went with the phrase fire reborn, I really, really want a new mascot that's a phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
I am like, I still am holding out hope that maybe they're not going to just like run back everything conceptually with fire that they did before. But like, I think fire reborn, meaning like phoenix from the ashes, would be hot. And I love it when teams are bringing in mythical animals
Yeah.
into sports because, quite frankly, they're fun and they make for great mascots.
Yeah. Yeah. More unicorns and things like
Yes,
that.
the Dallas Wings are Pegasus, like
Uh-huh.
like they have like they're like a winged horse, and like they're like oh yeah, the Dallas Mavericks cool, an Earth Pony. No,
Yeah.
no, a Pegasus for the WNBA team. And so I want us to have a phoenix and not a dog. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we're probably gonna end up with a dog and a cat again, which is fine.
Yeah.
But we should have a phoenix. Phoenixes are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do a lot with that. Well, and they're leaning pretty heavily into the rose too.
Hmm.
And the logo is cool, but it also kind of to me looks a little bit like a mess. It's like, what's going on here?
It made me think a little bit of, do you remember the Thorns jersey they had like, I think it was 2 seasons ago, where it looked like an Ed Hardy jersey?
I don't.
Okay. Well, they kind of reminded me of that a little bit, like where I was like, we're like, it's not a style that I'm not like, I like it, but it's almost a style that I don't like.
Hmm.
Weird, like
Yeah.
it looks too much like flames on a polyester shirt or something, or like if it was colored differently, it could be on Guy Fieri's
Yeah.
brand, and it's like
Or
almost
profile.
something. Yeah, it's almost something that I don't like, but I still like it.
Yeah. No, it'll be fine. We always have reactions and like that's the thing. I guess that's the thing I'm trying to like control is having massive reactions to things because like I hated the carpet jersey and then I saw it and I was like, "Oh, that's actually really good looking on." And anyway.
I'll be excited when we have a team and we have players and we have, quite frankly, a basketball president because I saw that we hired one and then we fired one and now
Mhm.
we have an interim. Like, I just want to see what they put out there for us in terms of an actual team. And then I
Yeah.
won't care about the team brand, logo, name, concept, like whatever. I will be happy if the basketball's fun.
Yeah. And it will be.
Yes, exactly. And I know that Portland will show up to support it, which is like great. Like all you could ask for with a new team. Okay. Do you want to get to our questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So our questions today, we have one. This is one I want to start with because it's a softball and it's kind of on like the topic we've already been talking about. This is from a listener named Project Hansen. How are we to survive this avalanche of good vibes? How?
I tell you what, we're not gonna do. We're not gonna dwell on certain remarks by the commissioner. We're not going to spin up about what's going to happen with Scoot and Scoot's playing time. We are going to just enjoy it because we deserve good things.
Yeah, agree. When I have a long list of things that I am upset about in the year 2025, this isn't going to be one of them.
Right.
Okay. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, we started 2025 really chaotic. Like shortly after, like in February is when I was diagnosed with cancer. Like I had cancer surgery in April. Like all of these things all happened in 2025. Damian Lillard being back and how much money he's taking and what his role is or isn't going to be is just not in my top 100 things that I'm worried about in 2025.
Yeah. I just know that I say at least once a day, God, I miss Damian Lillard. And now Damian Lillard's back. So I'm just going to enjoy that.
I appreciate also, do you remember when I don't remember who said this. I was Chris Haynes the one that said this, that like Damian Lillard is looking forward to choosing his destination for the first time in his entire career. Do you remember somebody saying that? I forget who said
I
that.
do recall something like that.
And I remember thinking, I was like, well, he chose to stay here. I mean, he would have left some money on the table, I guess, but he still chose that. And that like kind of irked me the way it was phrased. And you know what? Even in the world where he's choosing exactly where he wants to go, he still chose to come home.
They finally landed a free agent.
Yep. A top tier free agent who chose us over Boston or whatever.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
just so we're gonna survive this avalanche by just letting it fall on us.
That's right.
And
That's
if
right.
like an avalanche like blocks out the rest of the world for a little while, we're just gonna live in that moment because right now those moments are so hard to come by.
Also, I'll say this, I'll only say it once because I don't like to harp on negative things, but like I have friends who are Kings fans.
Yep.
Like I don't have a care in the world right now. Like we have a WNBA team coming. Sacramento's not going to get one of those. We got our favorite son back who chose to come back. Like we have exciting new rookies. Like we're not even in the luxury tax, I don't think. I don't actually know. I hear. I just don't track our
We're
our
not
money
worried about
situation
aprons
that way.
right now.
Yeah, we're not worried about aprons right now. Like, I just don't have a care in the world. I am very happy to be a Blazers fan right now. And I'm not going to miss out on the opportunity to just be purely happy about being a Blazers fan.
You know what I just thought of that what your comments made me think about is
Hmm.
like we have something that we all like something to be happy about that we can share again. Cause like I threw on my Dame Time shirt after I ran around the house screaming. I threw on my Dame shirt and I just walked around the neighborhood and immediately I saw a guy riding by on his bike with his Damian Lillard jersey on. And like in the times that we are living in, where things are so nuts and so depressing and just on fire, what's going to get us through is looking after each other, and we're not going to look after each other until we connect to each other. And like this is just one more thing, one more teeny tiny little drop in the bucket, but like you can't fill the bucket unless you start dropping things into it. It's one more thing that we can look around and be like, hey, Dame's back, and we can like connect on things. And if we're gonna get through this, we've got to have connections. So that's one thing that Blazer fans have right now.
Oh, and it feels so good too. It's not like shared misery, which some people really like to lean into. This is like shared joy, which is just the best, purest form of sports fandom, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll survive. Okay, our next question comes from Jason. Uh, After seeing Hansen in Summer League, what are your expectations for Young this season?
Should I go first?
Sure,
I
yeah.
mean, they're not high, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's going to go out there and everyone and like set the world, like, make everybody go, oh my God. I think he's going to go out there and people are going to be like, oh, I see what the Blazers saw in him. And we're going to see him make a lot of mistakes. We're going to see a lot of growth. And that's exactly what I want. That's, that's what I think. That's my expectations is that he's going to go out there, he's going to make a lot of mistakes, but he's also going to show, we're also going to be able to see what the Blazers saw.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I'll say the other thing that I went into Summer League wondering to myself is like, would he be playing much with the remix or would he be
Mm.
mostly playing on the with the Blazers? And based on what I saw, I bet he plays most of his time with the Blazers.
Yeah, like they didn't send Donovan down.
No, and the other thing I would say about Hansen's game specifically is it is very much about chemistry with his teammates because he's a passing big. And that is not something that helps him as much with the remix as it does with being with the team that they eventually do want him to play with. He needs to be building those relationships and building that connectivity with the players that he's going to be on the floor with in order to like maximize what he can do here.
That's a really, really good observation. And he's also we know what he looks like against lesser competition. We
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That's not going to help him develop his NBA game
Hmm.
necessarily. Like he
Yeah.
needs to be up against NBA players playing by NBA rules with NBA refereeing to like figure out
Yeah.
the thing that always I think every player, but especially bigs, have to learn about is what's a foul.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially coming from a different league. When you learn it one way and he's probably learned it one way his whole life. Yeah, that's another really good point.
Yeah, like what's an NBA foul is like a philosophical question that every
Right.
player must grapple with
I
whenever
know.
they come into the league.
Do you think even two referees would have the same answer to that question?
I don't know. I felt like when I was like watching some of the referees at Summer League who were not NBA, I didn't see any of the like regular NBA referees there.
Yeah.
It felt like I wasn't in the same shared reality as the NBA in that time, like watching those referees do their thing.
Yeah. Well, because they're in summer league mode too.
Yes, that's right. Although it was weird to see Scott Foster was there in like one of the games. Like I guess he was there to evaluate some of
Oh,
those
yeah.
referees. But it was weird to see him in like regular
What was he
clothes.
wearing?
He was wearing, I don't know, like just like regular clothes. He wasn't wearing a ref shirt. And I was like, he was wearing like I think like a jacket, like a black jacket, maybe. I don't remember. But it was just like I was looking at him and was like watching. I don't know, it was like when you're a little kid and you see your teacher out in the
Yeah.
world grocery shopping and you're like, you do stuff that isn't make my life hard.
I wish you had told me that he was wearing like a silk shirt or something.
I wish he was. Whatever he was wearing, I don't think it was impressive, but I remember thinking those are plain clothes.
What if his off-court outfit was like skinny jeans and a silk shirt? Why can I totally picture that?
I think that Scott Foster, and this might be totally wrong, but there are no wrong opinions. Scott Foster is more likely to be wearing mom jeans than skinny jeans.
Yeah, I mean, I can see him in Dockers for sure.
Yeah, that's right. I just assume NBA referees wear like the same referee pants all the time. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But they have to act so referee all the time. Like, let's take him out of his box that we've put him in and like just let him flourish. And I think that he might wear a silk shirt and some skinny black jeans.
Yeah. We did see that one the referee for that Blazer game when we were going into the arena that one time,
Hmm.
and he was wearing regular clothes too.
He was very nicely dressed. He had a nice suit on.
Yeah, he was nicely dressed, and that made it almost even harder to figure out where
I was
how
so
I knew his
impressed that
face.
you identified him. I'd never in a million years would have identified who he was.
I was just like, I know his face, but why do I know his face? And yeah, it's because I didn't recognize him without his little like
Hmm.
gray whatever shirt
Yeah,
on.
I was so impressed when you identified him.
I pay a lot of attention to referees in a way that I like probably shouldn't and is not particularly useful, but
Well, you just pay better attention than me in general. I can't pay attention to anything for very long.
I know which referees make my life hard Or like my husband knows Tony Brothers because whenever Tyler watches the game with me, for some reason Tony Brothers is in that
Yeah.
game. He's like in his mind, he's like, that's the only referee that has ever existed is
Yeah.
Tony Brothers. And I'm like, no, no, Bill Kennedy exists and he's
Mhm.
fabulous. Okay, third question is from Sean. Do you think Dame is going to take on more of a mentor role for Scoot to try and help him improve, run the point, and lead the team, or do you think there will be ego clashes? Watching the video Dame released shows their lockers side by side and seems to suggest he's here to help.
I would assume that that's the role that Damian is being paid to do because he's not playing. So, like, I would assume that that's what he's there to do. And, we've talked about how much Dame likes to do that. You mentioned like his Formula Zero camp. And as long as Scoot is up for that, that's the question that we don't know. I mean, we haven't really heard much from the rest of the players. They've like shared the video and they've acknowledged that it's happening. We haven't seen like they did not react at least publicly the way we did.
Right.
Who knows?
But they
Maybe
weren't
they
here
did go
they weren't here then.
right. Yeah, they don't remember. I just, you know what? I remember that one game where he and Shaden started. And it was the end of the game, end of the season. It was a garbage game. I watched it alone in an empty bar on this massive screen that the bartender put on for me. And the Blazers were losing, and they had been losing the whole, last 2 months of the season. And the bartender was laughing at me. He's like, "What are you?" And I was like, "Just hold on, just hold on, just hold on." And they actually ended up winning the game. And it was like, I think the one game where Damon Shaden started together.
Wow.
And I can't wait to see that again. But anyway, back to Scoot. Yeah, it all depends. I think it depends on Scoot because I think Damien would not have come back if he didn't understand what was expected of him.
I also don't think that our front office would have brought him back unless they'd had that conversation.
That would be a really good question to have answered is how much does was Scoot in awareness of what was going on?
Yeah, it's not, it doesn't make any sense to me that they would make such a big team decision like that didn't involve more people and more conversations and more clarities that everybody was on the same page before you sign a contract for millions of dollars. But, you know, I just assume those are things that are talked about and that players are brought in on. I know that Dame was like when he was here, he was regularly in on conversations like that, but you know, I don't think that it was always it's always to the same degree that he was in on those conversations, but it's not like it's like all or nothing. Like they're all in, front office conversations or they're completely left out. Like I don't know, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I really have no idea how all of that works. Something that we could maybe ask somebody whether or not we would get an answer. I don't know, but maybe it's something that we might consider asking.
That
Um,
said, I don't believe that there will be ego clashes.
no, I don't think so. And if Scoot really doesn't like it, I hope that he sees that the best path for him is to play as well as he can to prove that that he can be a really good NBA point guard. Um, because other teams will need point guards. And I'm not saying that I think Scoot should leave, but it's going to be a question at the end of the season. And it's in his best interest to like I just see him being also he's got all these siblings that he's really close to, that he's used to having telling him their opinions
Hmm.
about everything. It seems like a really close knit family, so I see this as not being difficult for him, but we don't know him personally. But I would also add that I think I noticed in that same video that Hansen is next to Robert Williams,
Mm.
which makes me think that like, yes, it's expected that the veterans are going to be directly influencing the younger fellas.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about. I'm not too worried about it. I'll say the one thing that I keep thinking about is despite the fact that everybody is a little nervous about both Drew Holiday and Dame now being here and them being both point guards, is that there's still only one point guard on our roster that can be a point guard of the long-term future. It's
Hmm.
still Scoot's the only one. Like Drew and Dame are both excellent, but they are late career, and
Hmm.
with the trajectory of the team that we currently have, there's only one long-term solution, and that is Scoot. So even though people feel a little weird about the choices that were made, I still feel like the choices that were made were still about seeing what Scoot can do with this team.
Hmm.
Like, like it there's no they didn't I would have been more nervous for him had they drafted a point guard, had they brought in another point guard via trades or signing in free agency that was like more on like his timeline or the timeline of the team. Like if they brought in someone who was 25, I would be a little more nervous, but they brought in guys who are in their 30s. Like these are not long-term point guards of the future for like the team that we have now where everyone's mid 20s at the oldest.
I love that point. And it brings me to the age-old question of the two timelines. Do you think
Yeah.
the Blazers are really, I don't think they're on two timelines. I think I, I don't, there's a lot of talk about like they really got to show it this year. Like, I don't know. I feel like they're not on two timelines, but maybe I'm being naive about that. Like, I think that they make the play-in this year. Like, and that's fine because that's growth. I don't think that they are going to be good enough to like make it to like straight into the playoffs. But now they have like all these vets, which they, haven't had vets for a couple of years. Like, are they really going to play Jeremy Grant and Drew Holiday and go for the playoffs? Or are they going to play the guys that we saw at the end of the season and, go for their growth?
I mean, I never super understood the two timeline uh paradigm exactly. And the reason why is because like yes, you can say you're on two timelines and people can think that, but eventually you have to be committed to the timeline that you're currently on without worrying too hard about your future because you can't forsake success for the time like the current timeline for future success. Because if you're doing that, you're constantly always forsaking your current timeline for the next big thing, and you never actually commit to what you have. So, like, I think that maybe they had left themselves open for a long time for success to come maybe sooner or later, depending on when things started to have that connectivity and see something come together. But I do think that eventually you have to commit to the timeline that you currently are on with the team that you have instead of have it only be about future moves and future assets. Again, I hate thinking about like assets this way exactly, but like, we've seen teams do the thing where they like trade away all their future assets to build a team now to win. Blazers have never really done that. But I think that there's a big difference between like keeping one foot in and out the door at all times and like, I don't know, breaking the bank, so to speak. But I do think that you eventually have to step into one side or the other and
Hmm.
like choose a timeline. So I don't know what they've decided the timeline is for this particular team, but it would be shocking to me if they kept one foot out the door at all times, that in a way that hurt the current timeline. And I do think that eventually you have to kind of be on one more than the other and maybe not mortgage your future like some teams have done. Because
Hmm.
what is the Bucks? The Bucks are like all in on whatever timeline they're on now.
I feel bad for them.
But
Or
like,
maybe things will be great for them. They still have Giannis.
can you imagine though, like feeling like this team got really, really close and they're like, we need one more piece, we need one more piece, but we completely are opposed to trading for it because we want, because what about our second timeline? Like eventually you have to commit to a timeline.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're just always playing for the future and the future never comes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we, I kind of feel like we saw a little bit of that at times when Neil Olshey was the GM of this team. where he was always playing for the next timeline, the next timeline, the next timeline. I'm like, eventually you have to commit to the timeline that you currently are on with the team that you have, or you're not building toward anything.
And so we'll sign Alan Crabb.
No, we didn't. It was worse than that. We matched Alan Crabb, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Brooklyn.
was
Was it Brooklyn who wanted him?
it was something like that.
Anyway,
Anyway, so I'll say like I don't really understand the two timeline things because eventually you're playing for no timelines if you're playing for too many timelines at once.
yeah. Yes, there you go.
Um, okay, our last question. This is a great one for us to end with today, Tara. Gavi asks us if there were a Real Housewives of Portland show, what type of people would you want to see cast? What Portland archetypes would you want to see represented? So I need to start this question with a question. How do they do it on the other Housewives show? I don't actually know. Do they cast for like roles?
Well, I think what they're like each different franchise kind of has people who take on the role of like the colorful narrator, the busy businesswoman, the person who's like all emotion and like just lets it all fly. So I think that's kind of how they do it is because you need to get to create interest and craft stories. You need to have people who are willing or who represent some certain like roles, I guess.
So that there can be conflict
Hmm.
and tension and whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And the best ones, the best reality shows, at least on Bravo, tend to be have people who fall into those roles but have real relationships with each other. What doesn't work is when they throw a cast together where people don't really know each other and they only cast for like type. What they need to do
Mm,
is find people who know each other, already have established relationships, and then kind of like end up taking on these roles.
okay. All right. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts on this. I will try to
Okay.
keep it short, but I think a Real Housewives of Portland would have to somehow center the sporting goods industry, and it would have to kind
Mm,
of I mean, obviously this is never going to happen because Nike and Adidas and Columbia aren't going to be like, yes, we want to be on her. But I think a really great Real Housewives of Portland show would have people from that world in it because it's interesting. It's something that people from the outside can relate to. So I think they should have like um an ex Nike exec or an ex Adidas exec who's now like a stay-at-home mom. I think that would be like a really good casting.
oh, they probably need
Um,
someone who's outdoorsy then too,
well, yeah, so
like a
I think
hiker.
so. Let me say that the type of people archetypes, I think. So an ex-executive who's now a stay-at-home mom, someone who's married to a current executive. I think Portland also is going to need a restaurateur, a woman who is
Oh
a
yeah.
has a bunch of restaurants. That there's somebody in Atlanta, so that's not like an original idea, and it's something that, other, but I think especially with Portland being such a restaurant scene, having a
Mm.
woman who's very involved in the restaurant scene. And then I think they need a celebrity, like a Portland type celebrity, like Storm Large or somebody like that who has some already is already known. And then so they need to find people within those people who kind of like know each other or have relationships, are friends of friends, so they're not coming in like completely unaware of who each other are. And then I think the things that they should lean into, like you were saying before, is I think they need to lean into the outdoors. One of the funnest things that happens there's a lot of amazing fun things that happen on the Salt Lake City franchise, but I personally love it when they go skiing because they
Mm,
grew up in Park City or Salt Lake, which like for PE in the wintertime you go skiing. So like
right.
they lean into that and that's always really fun because that's real. So I think leaning into the outdoors with Portland would be really fun, going to the beach, going on lots of hikes and walks in parks. One thing that you don't see very much in in Real Housewives, and I understand why, but I think would be fun in Portland is like lean more into the golfing scene. Like every once in a while you'll get like a golfing trip very occasionally, but I think with all of the courses in Oregon and how different they are and how like well known they are, I think it would be really fun to like lean more in the golfing, and maybe that's a tie back to the sporting goods. Maybe it's like the head of Nike Golf or something like that. So I think leaning into those things, I think it could be really fun.
That's interesting. I love that idea. And I was just thinking about, I was like, oh, they could go windsurfing in the gorge one time, or
Yeah.
they could hike, I don't know, like around Timberline or something. We do have
Yeah.
skiing. We have skiing here too.
Mhm.
But it's not quite the same as like the
Right. I mean, they
Park
like
City
literally in
folks.
Park City have like a chairlift going over Main Street.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they all grow up doing that. But in Portland, you grow up going to Forest Park. You grow up going
Mhm.
and doing all those things. And I was thinking of some fun like Northwest type cast trips because you always got to do cast trips. And I think it would be really fun for them to have like a weekend in Leavenworth. Maybe
Why?
maybe go up there. Um, yeah, definitely to the beach. And by the way, Damian Lillard, if you're coming back to Portland, you have to go to the beach now. I mean, come on, dude.
That's
I
amazing.
think, it could be fun to have like a basketball wife involved, or a basketball ex-wife even. Um, so I think there's potential, but I think every city has potential. But definitely if I was casting, I would look for that sporting apparel connection and then restaurants.
Yeah, I like that. I was thinking about somebody who is also like either a runner or associated with the track scene because I think that Oregon, a lot of people think about Oregon as track.
Hmm.
And so we have a lot of like Olympians in track or like former Olympians in track or people who might be married to an Olympian. Um, and the other thing that I was thinking about is there has to be an out of touch Californian.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
somebody
there
who
has
just got here.
somebody, yes, exactly. There's got to be somebody who is super duper out of touch Californian who doesn't know how to do any of this stuff
Yeah.
and who's really bad at it and hopefully whines about it.
Yes. Yes.
Because
I love that.
that is a whole like Portland personality now at this point.
Yeah.
Someone who just moved here in the last 5 years.
I love the question, and I would love to know what Gavi would how Gavi would answer the question. So if you're listening, let me know. And anybody else who happens to
Other
be,
listeners, yes.
yeah, who also, yeah, let me know what you think would make a good Real Housewives of Rip City franchise.
Awesome. I think we made it. I think we made it. That was our last question. You've already shared your take for the masses today.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I don't need to ask you. It is July 19th at 11:46 a.m. Your take is around winning a championship or not winning a championship.
Yes, my take was that it's not so much about winning a championships, it's about playing for something and playing so hard that you win the championship. But it's the playing for something in my mind that's the most important and the most intriguing part of it. How about
I
you?
love it.
What's your take?
My take is that don't let your thoughts get in the way of your joy. Joy is about feeling and like just that pure connection between your emotions and the world and like we can outthink our joy in so many ways and we do it all the time and like to what end? I might have questions at some point in time. I don't have them today. I'm just going to lean into the joy that I initially felt that has been carrying me for like days now and like not let anybody interrupt that. Like I don't need to I don't need to hate click on anything right now. I am happy clicking on stuff and that feels so good to like not have to fill my free time with something that makes me sad. So
I
yeah,
love it.
don't outthink your joy, everybody. Just let it wash over you until it's no longer doing its thing for you and then you can get your brain involved or whatever.
We're gonna have questions. They're gonna come. We're gonna have things where we're like, but yeah, right now, put on your Lillard gear, go outside and walk around and find other people who are wearing Lillard gear, connect with them, because that's the only way we're going to save ourselves.
That's right. And at the very least, even if we are one of those 29 teams that doesn't win a championship, we're not winning with Damian Lillard in Portland.
Yes.
And I mean that in the good way.
Yes. Yes. Well, Rose, it was a pleasure getting to talk to you. I'm so glad that you said let's do it. And for everyone who's listening, thank you so much for sticking with us. You can find us at We Have a Take. You can find me at TCB Biggs. You can find Rose at Rose L. Harding. All that good stuff. You know it. Go Blazers. Welcome home, Dame. We're so happy to have you. And Rip City, because Bill Shawnee used to say that when something good happened, and something good has happened.